All right, hey guys. Our fourth one is going to be focused on class conflict. That is going to be the name that Marx gives to those reified social relations that we talked about last time, that are the structure that produces exploitation and thereby produces alienation. Okay, so to introduce this whole thing, remember Marx found that a society that's dominated by objects whose main value is exchange is going to produce a certain set of social relations. If you organize around commodities, this is what's going to happen. And what he says, and it's, I guess, important to kind of point out, this is all that whole big transformation, the great transformation that happens in the 1800s. Commodities are not the dominant type of object or type of product in human experience before that. Commodities did exist, but because most people were farmers who were farming mostly for themselves, commodities were sort of on the periphery of human experience. It's not that they didn't exist, it's that most of what we made was those use value products. So Marx, when he's talking about class conflict, he's talking about a particular type of social relation that starts because we're going to create all of these commodities, all these things that exist for exchange value. Class conflict is really simple. He basically says if you're going to start out with this idea of, okay, let's orient ourselves toward commodities, you're going to end up in relatively short order with a small group of people who own the machinery, who own the materials that are necessary to make those products, and a large group of people who don't own anything, who are going to only be able to sell their own labor to work for these people. So the class conflict is between the capitalists, the owners of the means of production, which is basically the factories and the machinery, and the proletariat, who are the people who are going to go work in those factories. The capitalists own the means of production, as I just said, the tools and the raw materials. They employ the workers, which means they are buying the materials necessary, and they're also buying the labor of these people. Capitalists in the sort of pure capitalism don't have anything to do with production themselves. They pay other people to use their machines to make stuff. And in the end, and again, kind of one of those for the first times, great transformation type of things, the people who make the stuff don't own it. They don't keep it. They make it with materials bought by these people and then give them the finished product for them to exchange. The proletariat, in order to survive, and it's kind of an important idea here, at a certain point in the 1800s, the land that people could have just farmed themselves sort of starts to go away, at least in Europe. In America, it happens a bit later. But nowadays, if you want to opt out of capitalism, it's not the easiest thing to do. You kind of have to have your own land, and that's something that becomes more expensive year by year by year. So the proletariat, in order to be able to survive, they don't have another choice. They have to sell their time and their labor to the capitalists. All right, and that relationship, as we talked about before, is exploitation. These guys pay these people, but they don't pay them everything. They pay them part of what they have, because remember, these people have produced the thing. In order for them to sell it at a profit, they have to skimp these people on their pay. That's the way you make a profit. You pay them less than what their labor was really worth. But they don't have a choice. They're stuck because they don't have another way of earning a living. That relationship is exploitation. And so what we need to move ourselves down to, we need to scroll down our script, and what we need to move ourselves down to is the idea that, okay, so over time what happens is, because the market economy that Adam Smith laid out is based on competition, certain capitalists are going to be better at running their businesses, and they are going to outcompete other capitalists. So this group is going to shrink, and this group is going to grow until you have a great number of proletariat who work for a small number of capitalists, and the capitalists, at the end of the workday, they own the means of production, they own the commodities. All these people own is the whatever the capitalists were willing to pay them. That's it, except for our asterisk term here, which is a hidden system of power. And this is a big insight of Karl Marx's. So one of Marx's great strengths, I mean, you kind of saw it when he looked at that whole product versus commodity thing in the last video. One of his great strengths is being able to look at just normal life and see things that most people wouldn't see. And when Marx looks at this, what I see when I look at this is I see an economic system. It is, it's an economic system that has some pros and some cons. The fact that you're able to watch this on a computer is because of the economic system of capitalism. It gets us great stuff. But that's what I see. I see some people hiring other people to produce stuff and then they sell it. What Marx sees is something more basic than that. He sees a system of power that is hidden. We think of capitalism as a situation where I am free to work wherever I want to work, and I am equal to capitalists. I don't think of them as superior to me. Marx looks at it and says, well, if you strip away sort of those ideas, what you've got is some people without a choice having to take whatever these people will pay, these people basically having all of the power in the situation. We don't think of it as a power relationship, but these people, how are they free? They don't have another choice. They can choose, I work for capitalist A or I work for capitalist B. Is that really freedom? Or is that just a very limited choice? It's not the way we would, if we think about it outside of our normal, well, yeah, capitalism is normal. If we think of it outside of that, it's not exactly what you would think of as freedom. And are they equal to these people? I mean, in Adam Smith's idea, it's all about equal people freely competing. But once you get a generation or two into it, you've got rich people and you've got poor people. They're not equal anymore. So one of Marx's great insights into this is that this economic system sort of hides what another way of looking at it, which is a system of power. And again, getting back to Marx's main thing, because remember, Marx is angry, but he's angry because people are being ripped off. Their lives are not as fulfilling as they should be. If we think about this system now in terms of power, in terms of some people make other people do things, how are these people going to have fulfilling lives? How are they not going to be alienated? Of course they are, because it's not just an economic exploitation, it's a system of power. So of course they're going to have alienating lives. All right, that's it for class conflict. Got you in under 10 minutes. In the next video, we will come back and look at a couple of other contradictions that happen within the structure of society. So I will talk to you guys about that then.